screen.
Are we live? Hello, everyone. My name is TrupsLP, and with me, as always, for another political recap on the Moisky Live channel is the Lord Moist himself, Lord Omegon. Say hi, Omegon.
I just realised my booze is too far away. I can't pop the cork.
Oh no,
Much
that's
to...
the saddest start we've ever had.
I'm very upset by this. I might go cry.
Yes.
How is Trups LP today?
TrupsLP is it's a little weird. First full week back at work after my extended vacation.
Extended
That was a weird week. Still working overtime as always, but you know, there's give and take. There it is. There's the satisfying pop.
Om nom. Hello, Lucy, in the chat. And have we left yet? Was the extended vacation imposed because of any kind of weather, or was it like an actual vacation?
Okay, so the Dragon Con weekend, which was supposed to last through Labor Day, so Thursday to Monday, was extended due to Hurricane Dorian. So that took a hot minute to pass by my area, which evidently gave me a full week off in addition to the 2 days off I had taken the prior week.
At least you're salaried.
Yeah, right? That's what I thought. Almost makes up for the fact that, I work overtime with no extra pay.
Yeah, it kind of offsets.
It's stuck in a hole.
See, I don't have that luxury.
I think my sound is a little weird.
Oh, is it on? People saying, "Oh, is he stuck in a hole?" It shouldn't be. The audio is where it should be.
Hang on, let me hear myself.
You sound fine on my end. Shouldn't be. The audio is where it should be.
Hang on, let me hear myself.
Oh,
wow, I am. I'm hella quiet.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Maybe it's Discord. Hang on, I'll turn you up. No, you're maximum.
Discord.
Jeez, you're actually maxed out.
Oh no.
I think maybe it's just. I don't know. You sound fine to me.
2 apps are using your microphone. Why?
What apps are using the microphone?
I don't know.
I could turn you up. I'll turn it up. There we go.
Oh, I think I know. It's because I have... Okay, hang on.
Okay. Give it a second.
Uh,
I'll say hello to the chat. Hello, Lord Ferret. Hello, Semperbear. Hello, Keith. Hello, Joe. Hello, Vince. Hello, Karma. Hello, Heretical Cabbage. Hello, Moggy, the antagonist.
Am I a little better?
Hello, Prospero. Well, people saying you sound fine, so I'm assuming it might just be isolated incidents of issues with audio.
Yes. I had Streamlabs open to watch things, but it also was pulling on my microphone.
What was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I guess I am a little far away from it more than usual.
Well, yes.
Anyway.
You sound fine to me, to be fair. I can't tell.
Technical difficulties. We're professionals.
Yeah, we didn't set this by like a thumbnail a minute before. Even we're late because I was doing a thumbnail. No. Hello, Sarah.
No, of course not.
No, I wasn't just sat here eating a pizza, doing nothing.
But hey, we're actually on the right day this time.
Hey, consistency.
Yeah, 0 of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on the subject, your before we get into the subjects, when it comes to your being salaried, I'm a little bit jealous on that front, because if there's bad weather here, rain or shine, doesn't matter. I have to go to work. I don't get a choice. I wish I had a salaried contract.
Unfortunately, we were directed to leave by our governor by mandatory evacuation notice.
We don't have governors. That sounds precious. Where do they...
Yeah, well, you used to.
Yeah, they're not. We don't care about them.
Yeah.
They're not as important as...
It's a bit amusing thinking of him sitting in a hole while doing this.
Town idiots are far more interesting. Hello, Scott's car. Hope you're well. Where should we start? Should we start with what's on the screen?
Yeah, let's start with vaping. And as appropriate, I am vaping myself.
Can you perhaps, because I don't do anything like this, could you tell me everything about vaping? Please, tell me everything.
Okay, so, first, the way that I vape is not the way that the media reports on vaping.
Are there different types?
The popular way to vape
Hmm.
at the moment, there's three different ways. There is an open tank, which is currently being shown on your on that lovely screen back there,
Yeah.
in which you put juice into the center tank. It saturates cotton and then gets vaporized by a coil inside.
Yeah.
There is also a dripper tank, and that is a coil that you make yourself. You drip juice directly onto the cotton,
Right.
and then it's a much more modular version. And then there's the one that people have a problem with, and that is these cartridges, Jewel, for instance. So what vaping actually is basically the vaporization of a propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin combination that tastes good.
Okay.
Propylene glycol is essentially the shit that makes smoke machines work.
Okay, I've changed the image on the screen after Googling quickly cartridge vape. Is this the cartridge you're referring to when it comes up on the screen? Or is this just the same canister as before, but made it look a little different?
I think that's more of a different model. If you type in Juul, spelled Juul,
Gotcha.
that's the thing that people are
Oh, it
using.
looks like an SD card. No, it looks like
Yeah.
for British people, this looks like the electric key you go take to the shops to get more electric. British people will get that because, yeah, it looks like a Lecky key. Oh, geez, the image is
Lord
huge. Hang on.
Ferret in the chat says I have a tank on a Kanger box mod. I used to have one on an
Got it.
old Kanger
Oh,
1 box.
this is an interesting image. This is an interesting one. It even has a USB adapter. Oh, wow. Love it. Okay.
Um,
So,
so yeah, this is the one that people have a problem with.
okay, someone in the chat says this is for medical marijuana. Is that all it's used for?
No.
No. Okay, so what's the problem with this one?
So you can use it for medical marijuana. There are THC cartridges,
Mm-hmm.
but there are also regular vape juice cartridges.
Okay.
Um, because I've been doing this since it became popular when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, 6 years ago. Fuck. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's weird. So this has kind of gone through a bit of a life cycle. Originally, it wasn't FDA regulated as a tobacco product, and then they decided to regulate it as a tobacco product regardless of the fact that it contains no tobacco. The reason for that was essentially because it contained nicotine, which is an addictive substance, which the FDA basically, or whoever the politicians were who pushed the FDA to do things about, they decided, yeah, we're gonna classify this shit as over 18 purchase kind of thing, tobacco laws, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so fast forward, and after that, you have more of these products coming out. So Juul comes in right about that time. It had definitely been produced beforehand, but it really became popular right as the FDA thing was happening.
Okay.
This is about, I would say 2016, 2017.
Okay, so I do want to ask for clarity's sake, what is the FDA thing?
Oh, that's the Food and Drug Administration. It's a federal bureau that basically regulates what a person can put in their body in the United States,
Okay, and
at least from a grocery store.
right, so when you said FDA thing, what did you mean?
Oh, the change in the FDA rules to consider vaping classified under a tobacco product.
Okay, and is this a product that falls into that category?
It does now, yes.
Okay. Well, look, obviously, I don't want to skip ahead unless you want to, but by all means, continue
No,
this
no, no. I
story.
mean, it's fine. It's a good explanation as we get into this,
Okay.
because essentially what has happened um, is Trump recently has made comments to ban most flavored vaping products in a response to what health officials call an epidemic of e-cigarette use by teenagers.
Okay, two things I know, because I remember being told
Okay?
about this yesterday by a Texan. that only 6 people have been known as dead, and only I think it was 500 had suffered some form of lung inflammation.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
That's not an epidemic.
More people are killed by vending machines.
That I know only know. Yeah, literally, because someone was someone obviously living in Texas told me about this. Because I think it happened in their state, didn't it?
I think so.
The deaths and what. I just. Okay, hang on. Take a moment. So the few things I do know is that my brother-in-law smokes. He does vape a lot. He has this 300 watt or voltage, whatever thing, and he can only get to like 120 before he almost chokes on it. Because who needs that much power in a vape, right?
I mean, yeah,
Although
that is accurate.
when I've seen him and his friends smoke it though, he has mentioned feeling like his lungs were burning because the power was too much for him to handle. That makes me think, well, why don't you just turn it down? Why don't you regulate that instead of regulating the flavour? Because it's not the flavour that's causing people to do stupid things, it's the power within it.
Sometimes there are certain. Okay, so um, the thing in my experience that has made a vape flavor more smooth than others is based on two different things. One is the PG, propylene glycol,
Yeah.
and vegetable glycerin ratio.
Okay. What's the ratio usually?
So I actually have an interesting bottle here. So the one that I have here is 65-35.
Okay.
And the other one here is 70-30.
That's
So it's vegetable glycerin more than propylene glycol.
Would one of those hurt you more than the other if you smoked it too much?
It could.
Which one?
Propylene glycol could cause more issues. And actually, some people have a adverse reaction
Obviously.
because of some allergies. In fact, one of my close friends, actually has an issue with high concentrated propylene glycol in vape juices, but not max VG, which is max.
That doesn't surprise me. It's going to be someone allergic to everything. Come on. That's not also that should if they do use those examples as well, that's not a very good indicator of it. When does this ban come into effect, by the way?
So they're still proposing it and they're still trying to pass it. Just Trump has recently spoken publicly about it, and Melania, Trump's wife, has become a very staunch advocate against it because somebody offered their son a vape.
That's not
Or
a
a
good
hit
enough
off a
reason.
vape.
That's not a good enough reason. I should point out,
No.
this does reek, from my perspective, of being absolutely... Obviously, for those in the chat who don't realise, if you haven't watched this channel for the last week, I've been a bit busy. My politics are an absolute mess right now. And so I haven't paid attention to this. So me coming into this not knowing a single thing past that little thing I got told last night, right? What it sounds like to me is other smoking companies like trying to nudge Trump to get rid of the vapors to get more people to smoke again.
So now that is one of the conspiracies.
That's the first one that came to my head. It sounds... I know it's obviously a conspiracy, but it's just there.
I know, and it's a fair question because Juul's vapes were created as a alternative to smoking, one that has less carcinogens and less possible death outcomes.
Isn't that what vape's meant to do anyway? It got my mum to quit smoking.
Vaping causes lung fever. Can you explain what lung fever is? If you mean inflammation of your lungs, yeah. Have you ever tried swallowing something that you weren't supposed to swallow? That also causes inflammation of your lungs.
Lung fever. Okay, the first thing I got when I had a little look here was pneumonia. Okay.
It can cause pneumonia.
I'm not going to dive into that because it's not, again, it's not something I'm too familiar with. But as far as I was aware, the concept I had known vaping as initially was to help people quit smoking. And as I mentioned, my mum, she'd smoked for 40 years before she passed, and she quit. And she had actually quit for about a year. My dad quit smoking as well, same thing. It's just, that's not a valid excuse. And pneumonia, yeah, no, that's... Actually, damn, Prosper just beat me to it. All inhaled substances can cause... it's genuinely not a valid argument. It then just cements the push that perhaps Marlborough have a little word.
Also, Silver Bear makes a very interesting point a little further up. I made the mistake of getting too high of nicotine when I first started, and it was awful. Same, because I don't smoke cigarettes. There are like high concentrations of nicotine in certain vape juices, and to a person who doesn't smoke a whole lot, even six can be very, very brutal on your throat and lungs.
I've never smoked. I've never ever done anything like that. I've never vaped. We have a vape store in town. It's never busy. I think it does most of its work online, but it always smells like a sweet shop. It always unironically has cigarettes outside it on the floor, which I find quite funny. But vaping is quite popular in my town. It is
Yeah,
incredible,
because
and not just. And there are still like teenagers who ask you to give you if you can have a lighter or you can get them some cigarettes from a shop. Yeah, they still do that. Um, oh, the hippies were right. You've got a donation, by the way.
oh, I did. I turned off my Streamlabs, so I
Oh,
don't
that's
know.
from Karma.
Thank you, Karma.
You're
The
welcome.
hippies were right.
Yeah,
Some of them. Some of them.
yeah, but it obviously then served a purpose. I hope it still continues to serve that purpose because I don't like smoking. I don't like it in the
Right.
slightest. But I
But it's
don't.
weird because they just want to tackle flavored juice as a way to tackle,
That raises
attraction
another.
to kids,
That raises another
which is,
question or two. That does. Yeah, that's not great.
yeah, because it's bullshit. Because adults can like sweet shit too.
I have a sweet. I was about to say I'm a renowned chocoholic. I like sweet stuff, so I can certainly. I can totally. I feel like I feel attacked right now by your president. I think this is a pointless issue to go in on because of what's happened. It feels also like a bit of a distraction from something, but I don't know what because again I've been busy with my own things. Is there anything
I
else
think
going
it's
on?
just sheltering. I think it's just sheltering. I think Melania is trying to shelter her kids as any parent would want.
So it's
And
abusive
I
position.
can, I can sympathize.
Feels like an abusive position, then really.
Perhaps I would say that that is likely a condition. And Trump obviously has the ear of the first lady.
So this actually reminds me of an episode on The West Wing. Did you ever watch that show?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I
I think
quite
it was
enjoyed it
I think it was
actually.
like the second or third episode, the proportionate response, where the president gets all very angry about losing someone, and then he finally calms down and does the more reasonable thing. So perhaps
Yeah.
this will die like that.
Well, I think if nothing else, the press conference definitely did at least placate Melania and the concerns that she might have
Okay, so
because
can you
it
tell me more about that? Because I don't know what that is.
so Melania being Trump's wife and their kid having been offered a vape and her being concerned that he'll start smoking because of it because really the biggest concern um, of vaping is actually that it could lead to cigarette smoking, which is the most blissful irony I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Um, but that is that I think it's scaremongering, honestly. And I wouldn't basically say that she has a whole lot to stand on because even those we have like these truth .org commercials that play on TV sometimes, and they've recently started a new one recently about juuling. It says doctors don't even know the effects of juuling on animals. What makes you think that humans are any
Hang on,
better?
hang on,
And I'm
hang on,
like,
hang on. Dueling on. What are we doing? Vajazzling a
yeah,
cow
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
I'm very confused now. Bejeweling. Huh?
No, no, just juuling, like the use of a jewel, the thing that's on screen.
See, now I was really confused. I thought we were offering to get some glitter balls and sparkle up a cow's vagina.
Not bejewel.
And that's called a vajazzle, but I guess it's called something else with a cow. Still, I. What? Just what? I don't think. It feels
Vincent
backwards.
von Vincent von Holt makes an interesting and possible statement, saying it's him deflecting for his statement about violence in video games. It's possible, but he's playing to the same people. Unfortunately, with this, it's concerned parents.
Yeah, I think in this instance, it would be a bad move to act on it.
Yeah,
And if that has placated Melania, then brilliant, because that would be Really stupid thing to do. Although I should say, no, yes, it would affect many local businesses, as Sepper points out.
Indeed.
I know a number of people in this area who give my brother-in-law homemade vape juice.
Yeah, you can make it.
Now, it's not difficult. I looked at the formula and everything, and that's not difficult.
And you can buy the individual pieces online. It's simple chemistry after that. Hell, you can buy I have VG zero nicotine sitting on my desk in case something's ever like too heavy, and I can just dilute it.
See, I think it's fantastic. While I don't care for smoking, I think vaping is fantastic because of that.
It doesn't stick on your clothes. It doesn't leave a lasting smell. It doesn't.
Someone mentioned to me when it first started. It was very popular. My brother-in-law mentioned to me something called popcorn lung or something. Some kind of.
Yeah, that's the Chinese fucking knockoffs you buy at a gas station.
Yeah, I looked at the formulas, and the formulas are way off. They're not accurate. They are complete. They're not. They don't fall within that kind of what could be considered a reasonably regulated area of safe.
Yeah, I have 4 ingredients. Well, one's a very, very broad one, but I have 4 ingredients in this bottle that I have next to me. Vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, flavors, which is the ethers essentially.
Of course,
vague, and nicotine.
Right. That's fine. My brother-in-law, for him, because I always plan a few things in advance. A couple of years ago, I was going to get him Ron Jeremy's, the porn star's own vape stuff.
Hell yeah.
Because the amount of hassle he gave me when I got Ron Jeremy rum from Joe and Ed, right? So I forgot to for the last couple of years. I bought that 2 months ago. It's in a drawer under my bed. He's getting Ron Jeremy's finest sticky sauce in his mouth.
Fuck yeah. Well done. Well played.
Take him down like a pro. Because obviously I have a few questions about like, how did people react to this when Trump?
They were, a lot of conservatives who are like, they understand millennials a little bit more, are like, you're a fucking idiot.
I do think this makes them look a bit stupid. You gotta admit.
Yes, it does.
Hey, look, everyone.
Which, honestly,
we're not kissing. Sorry, Trump's ass for once.
Yeah. No, I think he was very stupid in this comment. I think he was very stupid in the violent video games comment.
Oh, that was horrendous. I remember that.
But here's the thing: I still advertise myself as a right-leaning centrist. So there are things that I hate that Trump does that I think is fucking retarded, and
yeah.
I still lean right because I hate the left more.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and how long do you think this will go on for, or has it already gone by?
Oh, the media will probably talk about it for about a week. Then they're going to try and pass a bill. They'll talk about it for another week. It'll fail, and then it'll die.
Hey, sounds like a win.
Yep.
Okay. Can we just ban vaping and smoking and be done with it? I'm not a fan of smoking. I'm with you on that. I should say for in the UK, I absolutely abhor. Yeah, that's the word. I loathe smoking, but I'm happy to accept vaping as like a replacement because I don't know I don't know. I don't perceive it as bad as smoking. Smoking has done so much irreparable damage. I think vaping could die off a lot quicker than smoking ever could. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't ban it.
Gem, is that prohibition never works.
I wouldn't ban it though, because then it just becomes a black market thing and it never dies.
And I honestly, by making it a black market, you make it more dangerous.
Yeah, it's like the war on drugs. Just stop it. I care for the health.
People who have gotten injured vaping have done so because they bought illegal black market THC cartridges that were faulty, and they blew up.
I should say that I don't care for any of these things where you're taking in something that could kill you. And that could include alcohol for a lot of the cases. But I would never seek to ban it because I know what happens next. I care more for the health of the person. I always will. But I think if you've made the conscientious decision to do it, as long as you pay your taxes, I don't care.
Yep.
I just keep it away from me, okay? If someone vapes and blows it in my face, I'm still going to smack them. Because that's a lot more smoke in my face than what a smoker would put there.
Sure.
I don't care if it smells
I
like
agree.
candy.
Just don't be rude.
Yeah, I don't care if it smells like cotton candy or I don't know, some kind of chocolate. Ban Entropy. Hang on, isn't Entropy a streaming service? I'm on their Discord server, by the way. I know they exist.
Is it?
Yeah, they have a Discord server. They're trying to get this thing off the ground, and I've been sort of chiming in every so often to help them, but I've never used it.
Oh yeah. By the way, random tidbit of information for all those in the chat. I had gotten an offer to join like Rumble.me by one of their marketing people, and I completely forgot. About it.
I'm sorry to hear that. I instead have been given emails repeatedly asking for my user details from youtube.blahblah@.ru.
I saw that.
I keep getting them. They're amazing.
That's impressive.
I am so happy.
All right, so you want to move on?
Yes. Okay, let's move on. Fine. For this, we're going to need Boris. He's had a rotten week, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to get any better. He's had a few losses in Parliament. I've covered them in video form on this channel. Things are not going well, but he is ever the optimist. Today he had a number of run-ins of people who were getting incredibly irate about their woes with the publication of the Operation Yellowhammer, which was an advice paper that was submitted to the UK government. People have gotten a bit more out of control because who cares if we want to try to do something optimistically and get the best and succeed, because we can, and I believe we can, when you can instead have a good cry about it and say, I don't want to try, let's just stay in the EU. So, Operation Yellowhammer, after the government lost in Parliament, they had to publish this paper, which covers the Her Majesty's government's reasonable worst-case planning assumptions. That word is so important, but nobody seems to realise that what that word means. I don't get it. I really don't.
Which word?
Assumptions.
Ah.
That's what I'll do, Traps. I'll link it to you so you actually have it. I'm going to go straight to the because I've got an article for it and stuff. I'll put it in the sources for us. Scroll down, you've got the images then. So, as of the 2nd of August 2019, when this was published, you've got when the UK ceases to be a member of the EU in October 2019, all rights and reciprocal arrangements with the EU end. I think many call that D-Day or Armageddon. I call that party time. The UK reverts fully to a third country status. Their relationship between the UK and EU as a whole is unsympathetic, with many MS unwilling to engage bilaterally and implementing protections unilaterally, though some MS member states, by the way, may be more understanding. Yes, we'll just call it, what was it called? British independence? Wasn't that the hashtag?
Oh, yes, and people were mad about it.
Oh, yeah, there was all the colonial comments. That was...
The former colony. Good on you.
I
Figuring out that it's part of you.
I thought that was the best thing I'd seen. Okay, no bilateral deals have been concluded with individual member states, with the exception of the reciprocal agreement on social security coordination with Ireland. EU citizens living in the UK can retain broadly all rights and status that they were entitled to prior to the exit from the EU, which is something that was already guaranteed anyway. We said the EU citizens in this country, their right to be safeguarded. They'd be allowed to have resident status, they would be allowed to stay. There would be a form to fill in, but that's it. Okay? I'll go straight down to the assumptions, because this is silly. There's so many little explanations for, what happens? But it's not really that. It's more stating the obvious in incredibly long paragraphs. So, key planning assumptions number 1. For the purpose of freight flow and traffic management, right? Oh, here's it. As 31st October is a Thursday, of day 1 of exit is now on a Friday rather than the weekend, which is not our advantage. Oh, how unfortunate. Thank you, Hug the Like, for the £15 donation. It's very generous of you. And yes, Hug the Like. I should probably make that bigger. I want to, before I continue, say that I read this through, and the words "load of old bollocks" come to mind because it just reeks of scaremongery. Every single bit of it does. And the reason for that is because their main argument is they're basically covering everything that's already been restated in advice that we already knew. Advice that was given by economic analysis, these analyses, yes, prior to the referendum result, that said we would tank, our economy would just crash and crumble and burn. That's a lie. Our economy would be stagnant. Oh, deals would come to an end. Actually, not entirely true. No deal would apply for deals that didn't actually continue to exist prior to us leaving. So if there were deals that were still in place, they would still exist. But they wouldn't continue unless a new deal was negotiated. It doesn't mean that all deals stop. I think that's a point I keep forgetting to make. And yet people seem to think they just stop. They don't. That's not how it works. Those deals have time limits on. That's why they exist. They don't. They're not. They're not a. What's it? They're not bound to us leaving. They can still continue to exist. And yes, I actually did read about the chief economist of the German bank saying that we were better off crashing out than floundering in this perpetual uncertainty. Thing is, none of the options being brought forward are certain. Labour have recently said, and I will get back to this in a second, I promise. Labour have said that they will bring forward a new plan for Brexit, a new deal entirely. But there is no other version of it. The only versions you can realistically do are to leave without a deal, which Parliament are trying to stop, but they can't stop. Take Theresa May's deal, which they can't accept. Revoke Article 50, have another referendum, ask the people what they think of the current deal, or leave without one, or remain. Or Boris Johnson's idea, but we don't know what his is fully yet either, because you're not supposed to put all your cards on the table, even though the biggest card has already been taken off it, rendering his negotiating strategy moot. Stay hydrated, kids. Okay.
Drinking a beer right now, so I'm good.
I'm drinking water because I wanted to actually stay focused. So I'm going to skip to number 2 and 3 because this is easy. Okay, small number of instances where the impact of Brexit would be felt negatively in the EU as well as the UK. Member states may act in a way which could also benefit the UK. Doubt. 3. France will impose EU mandatory controls on EU goods on day one of no deal and have built infrastructures and IT systems to manage and process customs declarations and support a risk-based controlled regime. That's interesting because that means you're preparing for no deal, right? Now, what is the UK government and the opposition... Sorry, what's the UK government trying to do that the opposition is trying to stop? Anyone want to guess it? Oh, that's
me.
Go for it. Go for it.
Are they trying to stop Brexit?
They're trying to stop preparing for no deal.
Oh, no.
So you can't put money aside for it. They couldn't put anything aside for it. They couldn't prepare for it. They couldn't do anything. There is money being put aside for it, and they tried so hard. But no, it's with no deal off the table. There's no point anymore. In fact, a number of contracts have been revoked because of it. Number 4. UK citizens travelling to and from the EU may be subject to increased immigration checks at EU border posts. We know this. This is not new. Leaving the EU means we're not going to have that utterly seamless transition from speaking superior to speaking Deutschland. We knew this. This isn't actually something worth caring about. 5. Demand for energy will be met and there will be no disruption to electricity or gas interconnectors. In Northern Ireland, there will be not be. Hang on, what? There will be not be. That's what it says.
Copy editors are important, folks.
It literally says in Northern Ireland there will be not be. Immediate
It's almost
disruption.
like they tried to write sarcasm.
Ah. It's like maybe they should have put the will. Maybe it says in Northern Ireland there will be immediate disruption to electricity supply, or in Northern Ireland there will not be immediate disruption to electricity supply. Ah, that doesn't scare me. I don't care. Actually, that's an interesting story. Boris Johnson has been talking to leaders and a bunch of other people, architects and stuff, because he wanted to build a bridge from Scotland to Northern Ireland, which I think is actually a good idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. It will cost £15 billion to make. Basically, most of our membership to the EU. I'm actually okay with it. I think it's a great idea. Have Northern Ireland get that unfettered access to us without having to travel by boat. Just drive over a bridge and go into backward land. I like it. By the way, if anyone wants to work out whether it's there will not be immediate disruption or there will be disruption to electricity supply, by all means, let me know. Number 6, the BDG or DFT planning assumption on reduced flow rates describes a pre-mitigation reasonable worst-case flow rate that could be as low as 40%. That means absolutely nothing. That's just travel bollocks and medicine related. There was a bunch of assumptions about the medicine stuff that is in this that actually states that the Giant's Causeway Bridge. I honestly just think as long as it looks like a rainbow and at the end is Ireland with a pot of gold, it'd be very funny. The medicine one has been brought up many times as a question to the Prime Minister, but also other people, about we're going to run out and people are going to die. No, we're not. Shut up. You absolute pessimist. Grow up. Certain types of fresh food supply will decrease. Shocker. That's not a surprise. We as a country are heavily reliant on import for food. That has been the case for quite a long time. It's why we should probably look to secure trade deals. Hell, we could do one with the EU if they like, but they're our bitch, not the other way round. Some cross-border UK financial services will be disrupted. Oh no, what a shame. Was it? Yeah, 9. The EU will not have a data decision with regard to the UK before exit. So? Does anyone care? 10. Law enforcement data and information sharing will be disrupted. Again. So? If you have criminals that belong to us, they better stay there, I guess. Because we can't be bothered to go get you anyway. And if we have some of your criminals, you can send NATO if you like, or do you not like using your actual EU army instead of the one you want to build to fight Russia? Because they're your enemy, yo, and we're so scared. Not. UK nationals will lose their EU citizenship. No one hates EU citizenship, you colossal bellend. We are an EU member, we are not your citizen. We in the UK are subjects to the Queen. We are not your citizen. Given the choice between who to bend one's knee at, I think most people would choose the Queen because she's a lot cooler than whichever fuckhead's running the EU right now. Just saying. We don't.
Your queen is a little bit more of a badass too. Just gotta point that out.
Just given the choice, really. She's a lot cooler. And, yeah, no. I can't be bowing to people. I know I can't say, can't be bowing to unelected heads. Ah, bollocks, the Queen's not elected. And the Great Wide... So go on.
I said it was a good attempt.
Yeah. And the Great Wide WTO world has no food to send you? No, they really don't. They don't. And with UK, there is no... Okay, so there are passports in the EU now that are being circulated where citizen now says of the EU. I disagree with this fundamentally. I think it's absolutely insulting to be the name of an organisation as a citizen. No, that's not what you are. Your country is your citizenship. And I think forfeiting that is forfeiting a part of your identity. I think I don't know if I could. I guess it can be considered a form of patriotism, maybe. And forfeiting that, I think, is maybe it's a progression. Maybe we'll get to that stage as well and be like, we just don't care. But I think for this right now, I think it's quite important to be proud to be British, proud to be from the Netherlands, proud to be German, proud to be French, Italian, even Slovakian, Slovenian, Bulgarian. It doesn't matter. Better that than to say you're proud to be European, but everyone's European. European is the continent. In fact, you would have to say you're proud to be European Union. At least with Trups, with his, he gets to say I'm proud to be American because his doesn't his has the shorter thing on it. It's not North America. Proud to be. Are you proud to be North American?
No, I can't. I can't. Well, yes.
But you got Canada.
South America is a little fucky, but
you do have you have Canada.
I used
though.
to say America.
Yeah, you can't really say proud to be European. It doesn't. No, sorry. That's the whole continent now. Can't have that. That's not right. Because we're European as well and we're not part of you. Well, we won't be if we get our own bloody way. It's just a joke at this point. Gibraltar, moving on. Gibraltar, due to the imposition of border checks at its border with Spain, because they be our property, get fucked, Spain, you're not having them. EU religion in a few years. No, that's not an EU religion, it'll be something else. Protests and counter-protests will take place across the UK and may absorb significant amounts of police resources. We've been having those for decades. How is this any different? How is this sensitive? Number 14. Regional traffic disruption caused by border delays could affect fuel distribution within the local area, particularly if traffic queues in Kent block the Dartford crossing. No one likes Dartford, it's terrible. I should point out 15 is redacted, but I have seen it because you can change the tone of the page. And I had done that, but I deleted the bloody image. I forgot about it. It was important, but it doesn't matter. 16. A small minority of insurance payments from UK insurance to the EU may be delayed. Oh no! Proud to be English. I'm proud to be English, of course I am. Low-income groups will be disproportionately affected by any price rises in food and fuel. That doesn't mean that they will actually happen, does it? The law goes on to cover things like the fishing policy, where fishing vessels could enter illegally or already fish in UK waters on day one. That's an issue, but we have ships to deal with that. A lot of it, I don't want to continue this actually, because in retrospect, this does continue on for a long time, and it covers every little aspect of what was agreed in the deal by simply saying it won't happen. Many of which are assumptions that will continue afterwards. Many of the assumptions are that we will run out of resources, that diseases will increase, medicines will run out because 3/4 of our UK medicine enter the country via Kent ports because they can't go anywhere else apparently. It's not like Plymouth exists. Poverty will decrease, as a decrease in supply will lead to an increase in price for food, and that will obviously affect low families. 300 European fishing ships will be permitted to enter UK waters illegally on day one and clash between our ships. Illegal smuggling and illegal migration could rise. Oil, right, now this is the part that was redacted, right? Many believe that that what this said was that it would cause, because of UK fineries, thousands of job losses and strikes over job losses and fuel shortages because of that. Social care, increased inflation after no deal, small providers expected to fail within 3 months, and obviously Gibraltar, more of the nonsense with Spain wanting them but not being allowed them. It is an absolute joke. I don't mind that Joanna Cherry, who is the Scottish MP for SNP, she was the one leading this. Many have called this Project Fear 2.0 or Mark 2. I agree with this. It is a joke. It is an insult. And actually, you know what? But actually, I got a better example. Nigel Farage called it a load of old tosh, which I think is a fantastic turn of phrase. Because, as he pointed out, that this is all predicated on the assumption that we cannot trade, and yet as someone who had worked within trade for 20 years, that's not how this works. Just because that trade doesn't exist with them doesn't mean the trade doesn't exist elsewhere. It just means we have to work hard to get anything, or get a result, or succeed. And I'm okay with that. What was it? There are further bits of information people want. They want Boris Johnson's phone records, and they want WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages, text messages, and any no-deal contingency plans to be released in full for the public. I'm not in favour of this entirely, but based on the current success of the government so far, I can see this ending one way, and that is with him releasing it all. Some say Boris is going to quit. I don't think he will. I think he's enjoying this. I noticed David Cameron has already been railing Johnson and Gove, but he's been railing on them because he's got a new book coming out, and his biography, autobiography, what do you want to call it? I don't know. He wrote it, I guess, so maybe it's biography. I don't know. He's releasing a book, so he's decided to now rail on Gove and Johnson for their behaviour during the Leave campaign of 2016. But it's interesting to note the Leave campaign have now no longer got any charges facing them by the police. They no longer believe they have enough evidence to successfully get any kind of result against them for the claims of misinformation, for campaign fraud and lying to the public, meaning that no one has a leg to stand on that front anymore. So it's a bit desperate on that front, and obviously Cameron being a bit of a twat. No, it's not going to work. Dominic Grieve, formerly the Conservatives, I think he's actually an independent now, because he got expelled from the party, said that the release of the Yellowhammer documents, what it shows is enough to show how deep the damage a no-deal Brexit would do to from the EU would do to us. Boris Johnson himself, this is what Dominic Grieve says, cannot portray forcing an undemocratic no-deal on the country as patriotic. Says the guy who is unironically trying to undemocratically revoke any option where we leave. That's interesting. Grieve believing himself to be a one-nation conservative, but you're a Ramona, so your version of one nation is actually a member of an organisation. I consider the EU to be a bit of a syndicate in how they operate, and it's just not. It's not a country, or one that should be considered democratic. He is fearful of the long-term damage of a reckless approach, but his approach is not to leave. With him continuing saying, which knowingly risks prosperity, increases poverty, and even threatens medical supplies, we will do both the people and our party. This must be stopped. As we cannot trust Boris Johnson to halt this calamity, we must trust the people. We must give the public the final say in the new referendum with the option of keeping our current deal as members of the EU. And this is why, Dominic Grieve, you're going to lose your job at the next election. Your constituency voted Leave, didn't it? Also, the fact that you are ardently going against the very democratic process by now trying to invalidate the result itself, I think it's an absolute joke at this point. On the subject, to continue on Brexit, I guess. So, I earlier in the week mentioned that Scottish courts have passed. The judges have said that the proroguing was bad, illegal, wrong, whatever. It's going to the Supreme Court for Tuesday. The decision to prorogue followed a basic constitutional path. Now, the decision to shut down the legislature is taken by the Queen, but this is on the advice of the Prime Minister of the day and the Privy Council. The Privy Council, though, has selected those who attend by the Lord President of it, which is Jacob Rees-Mogg. The government was given a short window in which to carry out prorogation, and the decision to enact it was on Monday. Boris made, obviously, one last attempt to try and convince MPs to back his plea for a general election. They've decided not to because they want no deal off the table, and even then, it couldn't be done. Another referendum will take a year, and that's not going to happen. a general election could be done before we leave, but obviously Boris wouldn't have to leave. It is unlikely, though, that a decision in Scotland could change anything, but a decision in the Supreme Court would carry full political and legal weight. As the court of last resort, if it upholds the ruling that the advice to the Queen was unlawful, it would effectively declare the shutdown null and void, which means that the prorogation would end and Parliament would be immediately recalled. So Tuesday is going to be very interesting to see if Parliament is recalled, because it would tell me whether or not on Wednesday I'm doing a PMQs or not. It'd be very funny to see a lot of very self-righteous MPs saunter back into Parliament to give some very smug looks at the PM because they somehow won something, but all they've done is sit around longer moaning about something they still can't do. Because they're trying to get things they can't have. If they force through enough a referendum, I should now state this for the sake of it, I won't vote on it. I will not vote because I voted before. I voted once, I will not vote twice on Brexit. It's over. You got my vote the first time because I was interested. And if we're going to do that, I would very much like the votes of all of those people who since died to carry over. Because honestly, that is the biggest insult to them, that one of their final votes in a democratic process was absolutely besmirched by a bunch of retards who couldn't accept a loss. Because I see that happening. Revocation of Article 50. The majority in Parliament actually support that. A majority in Parliament support remaining in the EU. Going against the will of the people, that's not good. What do you think about that, Trups?
The idea that the government would take away a vote that was cast while somebody was alive, now that they're dead because you didn't like the result the first time, is the single greatest indicator to the people of the UK that their politicians do not care about them. And if that doesn't, if that's not clear to every person who voted in somebody who is not representing your views, you need to seriously sit down and reevaluate yourself because they have already given up on you.
Agreed. There was a deal in place, a rumour, that the Brexit Party had offered themselves to the Conservatives, the current version of them, and have said that if they gave them free reign at, I think, 90 seats, they would back them. The Conservatives have turned them down. I don't think that's the case. I think publicly they've done that, but I believe they will work with the Brexit Party to get a majority in Parliament. I think... so people say Lib Dems are the biggest threat. They got 17 seats, and half of their seats came from the cucks and other people that defected. They got 17 in a chamber of 650. That's not a majority. Shut up. Labour are losing more seats because members are being either anti-Semitic or they're leaving and going independent because they're sick of the Labour Party as it currently is. The Tories expelled 21 members. Yes, they lost their majority. But I think they will win back a majority. I think Boris should not have expelled those members for the reasons he gave especially. But I think he will welcome those back given the time, and I think he could get a majority in Parliament, but I don't think he'll have a majority to get any kind of deal through it. Therefore, I believe no deal will happen because there is no version of the deal that will get through. Points 1 to 20 for those who are interested on the Yellowhammer document are the most important ones. They're the only ones of interest in reality, because the rest just continue proving a point that they don't really understand what they're talking about. And that they're continually fueling the Project Fear nonsense. I don't care for any of it. It's been going on for 2.5, 3 years now, maybe longer actually, of constantly trying to scare the people. I should tell you, Theresa May was right when she said that when Project Fear was when she was negotiating, Project Fear was trying to do their thing. It didn't work, and if we couldn't be scared by German bombers attacking us while we were going to work, I doubt we were going to be scared by the idea of leaving somewhere without a trade deal. Seriously, have you seen the pictures of us during World War II? We just went back to work
Yes.
the next day after we were bombed. We didn't give a shit. We have no reason to be scared either. Honestly, I can't be bothered with that. Yeah, I'm done with that actually. I can't think of anything else. Oh, hang on. Keir Starmer, Labour Party shadow Brexit secretary, has obviously taken this document as it is and has gone off on one, declaring that it confirms the severe risks of a no deal, and that's why he's pushing for another referendum, or pushing for Labour to take the position of possibly take another referendum, possibly have another people's vote, possibly blah 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 blah. The funniest thing I still maintain is Emily Thornberry, who said she would campaign for a new deal, and then, if elected, she would then vote against her own deal to remain. Oh, I should point out, campaign and negotiate the best deal for Britain to then vote against it. What do you think of that?
Sounds like somebody who never should be in power ever.
Labour shadow. Yeah, she's precious. She's a precious person. I think I'm actually done with this. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm a bit beat.
I am too, actually. I've got a few things I need to do before I go to bed. So, do you want to shill anything before we leave?
Nah, I got nothing.
Nor have I. Okay. Say good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.